Remember Lot's wife.
Elon Musk announcing in protest he is moving the headquarters for his companies SpaceX and X from California to Texas. This comes after the state banned school districts from requiring staff to inform parents about their child's gender identity change. It's the first law like it across the nation, signed by Governor Newsom on Monday. The tech billionaire wrote on his platform X, "This is the final straw. Because of this law and many others that preceded it, attacking both families and companies, SpaceX will now move its HQ from Hawthorne, California to Starbase, Texas."
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that. And we're making some progress.
Join the club.
Yeah.
This is an Omega Watchman Media Group production. The views on this channel are those of Omega Watchman Media Group LLC, and not those of Google, YouTube, or their advertising affiliates. Due to the mature nature of this content, language, and depth, viewer discretion is strongly advised.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
In honor of Pride Month, Vice President Harris welcomed the original and current cast members of Queer Eye to the White House. Together, they engaged in conversation about representation in media, the progress of LGBTQ rights, and what's at stake for the LGBTQ community in the upcoming election.
What's going on here with drag queens as well?
Of course.
I was at work and a customer called me sir, and I said, sir, actually it's a ma'am. And then everyone around started clapping, and the guy who said it actually got arrested.
Governor Newsom's office is blasting a lawsuit challenging California's new transgender notification law. Newsom signed a bill prohibiting California school districts from having policies that require staff to notify parents if their child identifies as non-binary or transgender. Late last night, the Liberty Justice Center filed a lawsuit challenging the law, saying in part that school officials don't have the right to keep secrets from parents.
This is an Omega Watchman Media Group production.
Paul Harvey, you know who that is?
Sure.
So he did a thing, back in the 60s or 70s, and he equated it to the devil. And maybe it is. Or you could also say it's just that. But he did a radio piece on how to destroy America, the social fabric of it.
Wow.
And it's as though somebody just took America, the social fabric of America from the late 60s to today.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions, just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing, I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure.
У нас все более агрессивные информационные атаки. Целью выбирают прежде всего, конечно, молодых людей, молодые поколения. И здесь опять лгут постоянно, извращают исторические факты, не прекращают нападки на нашу культуру, на русскую православную церковь, другие традиционные религиозные организации нашей страны. Посмотрите, что они делают со своими собственными народами. Разрушение семьи, культурной и национальной идентичности, извращение, издевательство над детьми вплоть до педофилии объявляются нормой их жизни. Хочется им сказать, но посмотрите, извините меня, священные писания, главные книги всех других мировых религий. Там все сказано, в том числе то, что семья – это союз мужчины и женщины. Но и эти священные тексты подвергаются сейчас сомнению. Но вот, как стало известно, англиканская церковь, например, планирует, правда, пока только еще, рассмотреть идею гендерно-нейтрального Бога. Что скажешь? Прости, Господи, не ведают, что творят.
This is an Omega Watchman Media Group production.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
He's a guy who says that he stands for public safety, but actively encouraged the rioters who burned down Minneapolis.
And that is a claim the Republican ticket is trying to hammer home about Governor Tim Walz. He is to blame for Minneapolis burning in 2020.
Instead, what you have is USA Today calling Elon Musk a, quote, fascism-curious billionaire. And get this, a former Twitter executive wrote in The Guardian that the best way to control Musk is by issuing an arrest warrant for stirring up unrest. I don't think those are just empty words. Because right on cue, the European Union sent Elon Musk a threatening letter warning him not to spread, quote, harmful conduct or content that could break the EU's laws. And it might sound ridiculous. It certainly sounds ridiculous to an American. Jail time for posting online. But that's exactly what's happening over in Europe. That's what's happening in the UK. Riots broke out after 3 little girls were stabbed to death at a party. And these were the worst riots the UK has seen in over a decade. Hundreds have been arrested. But not just for the violence on the streets. If you post something online that the government deems insulting or abusive or, quote, stirs up racial hatred, cops show up at your door with handcuffs.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to stir up racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
This is not an empty threat. People have been arrested for what they post on Facebook. London police commissioner said if you break their law, they'll come after you, even if you're Elon Musk.
We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you. Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material.
Monstrous thoughts dressed up in a fancy English accent. America might feel like a long way from sending cops into your house for making a nasty Facebook post, but how far are we really? The media just made it clear they want to see people who disobey them punished, and our government has been all too happy to do the punishing. So who's here to stand up for free speech? If we want to remain a free nation, we all have to. The establishment's biggest enemy isn't misinformation. It's an informed, free-thinking electorate that makes its own decisions based on common sense and facts instead of fear and lies. Can't let our country slip into tyranny, the tyranny we're seeing across the Atlantic.
In a normal world, reporters want to hear from a major party's nominee. They want to hear more, not less, from that nominee. But we're not living in normal times. We have hardcore propagandists burrowed deep into every corporate media outlet out there. So they're not really reporters, they're repeaters of left-wing dogma. We say it's like Orwellian, but Orwell rolling in his grave is an understatement at this point.
Here's something I've always wanted to say on TV. F your own face. That was Elon Musk's response to European Union digital enforcer Thierry Breton's warning before Musk's interview with Donald Trump on Monday. Breton sent a letter to the tech tycoon, incredible letter, warning him against hate speech. He posted the letter on X, captioning it, quote, "With great audience comes greater responsibility. There's a risk of amplification of potentially harmful content in connection with events with major audiences around the world. I sent this letter to Elon Musk."
Breton reminded Musk of the EU's rules on promoting hate speech in the letter and said that any violations of the rules could result in further action against X. Meanwhile, Washington Post reporter Cleve Woodson asked White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre if there was anything there the White House could do about the potential spread of misinformation during the Musk and Trump conversation. This is what she said. Let's watch.
You've heard us talk about this many times from here about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that we're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility. These are private companies, so we're also mindful of that too. Look, it is. I think it is incredibly important to call that out as you're doing. I just don't have any specifics on what we have been doing internally as it relates to the interviews, and that's something that I'm tracking, and I'm sure the president's not tracking it either.
The final straw for Elon Musk. California Governor Gavin Newsom just signed a law removing parental rights from schools. And now Musk says he's moving SpaceX headquarters to Texas, quote, because of this law and the many others that preceded it, attacking both families and companies. The law signed by Newsom prevents schools from notifying parents if students use different pronouns or identify as a different gender than what is listed in school enrollment records. They called it the Safety Act, but instead they should call it the Preventing Parental Rights Act. 1 month ago, when the bill passed the California State Senate, Senator Jim Patterson explained why he opposed it.
I have never seen an effort to damage the relationship between children and their parents like this one.
Folks, we need to put a stop to laws like this. Parents, not the government, have God-given authority over their children. The only time the state should get involved is if a child is in danger or knowingly abused. The new law is another example of California rushing down the slippery slope of woke destruction. How many more companies and residents will move out of California?
This is an Omega Watchman Media Group production.